We are going to have now very interesting discussion. Mr. A.N. Roy, who's been a commissioner for Mumbai Police. All of us remember that he gave a stellar service to our city. Some of the most difficult times when the terror attack happened. Mr. Roy has retired and is focusing on Vandana. He's actually set up this one foundation which is helping women in near remote districts of Maharashtra who have unfortunately in a situation where the husband have committed suicide and they had to find a way to earn a living, and helping them become entrepreneurs. So we thought it would be apt for Mr. Roy to come and share his experience, what he is doing, so we all can appreciate it. Not only that, but also more of us can do that. That's good for our society. May I invite Mr. Roy? Thank you. I also want to invite Rupa Purushothaman, whom you heard this morning. This is her another avatar, where she is not only an international celebrated economist, but she is also doing something which is even more dear to her heart, which is setting up the Avasara Leadership Academy for women and girls. Rupa? Thanks. So, thank you. If we can just we have a small film which on Avasara, what it does, so sets the context. Then we will have actually an interactive session with Mr. Roy and Rupa Purushothaman, and you can have questions after that. Thank you.
With me, my teachers really noticed my improvement and they appreciated and they made me the head girl.
मैंने ज़्यादा मेहनत करी, मैं फर्स्ट आई.
मुझे सभी लोग शाबाशी देते हैं.
We need the best of the brains in this country.
Self-confidence.
The passion.
It's just about another chance. The country needs leaders.
I didn't know whether I was capable or not. And I just went up to my teachers and asked them that I don't think I'm capable of being the head girl because I've repeated the year. And the thing that they told me is, we don't see how many years you've repeated, but we're just seeing how you've improved.
If you believe ultimately that quality should shine through, hard work should shine through, and your dedication to the profession should shine through, you just have to keep traveling that path. There's no other way.
एक एजुकेशन ही है जिसके जरिए हम हल कर सकते हैं अपनी परेशानियों को. सबसे पहले तो मम्मी पापा ही पढ़े लिखे होने चाहिए थोड़ा, या फिर वो सपोर्ट कर सके. इतना नहीं भी पढ़े हों तो सपोर्ट करना चाहिए उन्हें.
We saw across the country were girls who were highly motivated and also outperforming academically just seemed to be dropping out left and right. And when we asked why this happened, it came largely down to two reasons. Either their families were hit by an economic shock, and so they went into taking up basic employment and had to leave school to support the family. Or on the other hand, there's a concern revolving around marriage. So families are concerned that if these girls are overeducated relative to their peers or to their potential partners, this will pose a problem further down the line.
So Rupa, can we have more microphones, please? That's right, right. if you can give your thoughts on Avasara, what your plans are, why you got involved in this
Sure.
cause.
You know, I think for me, Avasara has been my entrepreneurial journey, and it's just beginning. And I didn't know that, you know, we were going to start out with creating this institution and really focusing on girls even in the first place. And what had happened was that I moved to India 7 years ago now. And when I came, I basically said that the thing that would make me feel like the purpose that I had in moving to India would be to support education in some way. And now we went around, and being a researcher, I wanted to understand the entire space. And so that was the way that I really saw the country in the beginning, just going around and visiting different organizations that were working with kids. And we saw, you know, amazing groups doing so much, and many groups doing so much with so little. And when you saw, you know, schools being operated from under trees all the way to schools in rural Rajasthan with over, you know, 10,000 girls and women who were learning to pilot planes and do archery. We just saw this huge range of programs. One thing that kept cropping up time and again was that there's a lot of investment in education at the primary level. And so this was either through the government or through NGOs. There was so much focus on primary school. So girls were getting to 8th standard. And some of these kids who were doing really well and who really wanted to be the change makers in their communities, let's say they wanted to build hospitals or build schools, once they hit 8th grade, 8th standard, they had no place to go afterwards. And in some cases, this was even worse because they all of a sudden had some impetus, some amount of dreams and initiative, and then they kind of disappeared from the landscape because they really had no options afterwards. So for us, we said, you know what, originally we thought we were going to support a group that was doing something, but we said, let's try to see if we can bring these kids who are really driven to affect change in this country, have them come from all over the country, be together and learn from each other and from the rich diversity that we have within our own country, and as well really get an education that teaches them how to solve problems, to be problem solvers, so they can identify things that they want to do and actually understand how to execute. So in some ways, I think a lot of the lessons we've been talking about with entrepreneurship, we can try to apply at a very young age. And for kids who, you know, think that they wouldn't even understand that these kinds of opportunities would be available to them. And that's why we named it Avasara, to really focus on opportunity. So that's how it all started. And I think, you know, for me, when I said it was my entrepreneurial journey, the dream was to build a residential school because we wanted to be able to have kids for a set amount of time, really be able to engage at a high level sort of place. We wanted to complement all of the programs of scale with a program of excellence. And in this entrepreneurial journey, the difficulties of getting a school up and running, of dealing with, you know, actually establishing a place, we've had to learn to be very flexible. And so we've learned how to try to use facilities that are already existing in different ways, institute scholarship programs, institute after-school programs, and really be mission-focused, but be flexible to be able to get in front of the kids that we really need to get to try to give them first the personal development and the confidence to really think that they can make change in their lives and for their families and for their communities, and secondly, to be able to think larger and really connect from what are such different backgrounds within our own country to really work together and coordinate larger scale change.
Thank you. So you are, while the school is being done, prepared, you have started some of the education anyway, right now? So
Avasara right now, and again, we've been working on this for 5 years. It took a few years just to get established and you know, to understand the space. In the last 2 years, basically I would say Avasara has 3 main activities. One is establishing the residential school, but the other 2 programs are already in action. The first is a scholarship program where we give scholarships to girls who are in low-income schools who are at risk of dropping out because they can't meet the financial payments for their school year. So we do just over 100 scholarships where we make sure that they stay in school, and we do a lot of due diligence to make sure we, you know, understand their situations. And these girls come from all over Bombay. So we also do programs periodically to make sure that they meet with each other. One of the things that the kids love is that they just never meet someone from outside of their locality, let alone across the city, and try to do some of our leadership programs with them. The second is a much more intensive after-school program. So we've been lucky enough, after being very persistent for many years, to get space at the American School in BKC. And so we have 50 Avasara Leadership Fellows, this is what we call them, who are 9th standard students in area schools, in area low-income schools, who show lots of potential, lots of drive, lots of ambition. And we have them after school every day for 3 hours, and we really are doing high touch academic tutoring to get them to a point where they're really successful in their 10th standard boards. And at the same time, we're piloting our curriculum, which focuses on leadership, entrepreneurship, and Indian studies.
Thank you. Mr. Roy, quite a journey and quite a change from, being chief of police for Mumbai and seeing the city through some of the most difficult times. And then taking up the cause for women. So, if you can tell us as to what made you, decide on this cause and how are you going about doing it?
Thank you, Pradeep. Well, I'm a little surprised to be in this kind of an environment, in Entrepreneurship Summit. Not really an entrepreneur, and do not come from a background of entrepreneurship. 40 years of my service in the government, not really the most entrepreneurship-friendly environment, I can tell you for sure. But yes, I had in my mind very clearly that after demitting office from government service, I am not going to do any such job. I had some idea in my mind what I wanted to do, and that was very clearly get engaged into some non-profit activity, time for giving. And I don't call it any charity. I enjoy this work. We are engaged in this non-profit. We have set up a non-profit company, not strictly an NGO, but a non-profit company under Section 25, Vandana Foundation. The basic work we do is, in my service period, I was engaged with both these groups of people, the poor, the urban poor in the slums of Mumbai, through a policing scheme that I had initiated when I was the police commissioner. We call it Slum Police Panchayat. It was meant to be a participative policing scheme for improving the security policing in the slums. Through that, I was connected with the slum dwellers, the poor, urban poor in Mumbai. I wanted to work for them, wanted to do something to improve their living condition, their financial condition. The other group that I was very influenced, very impacted by was these Vidarbha farmers, such large number of farmers committing suicide in Vidarbha due to financial distress, due to indebtedness, due to crop failures, a host of reasons. I was very influenced, impacted by this distress in that area, and I really wished something one could do to help at least as many as you can. So in this foundation today, we do these basic work is supporting these poorest of the poor with sustainable livelihoods. We help them through the means of micro-enterprise, helping them to set up some kind of a parallel income generation streams to these widows of Vidarbha. We work only in 2 districts currently, Yavatmal and Wardha. Yavatmal is the district which has the dubious distinction of the highest number of farmer suicides in one single district in the entire country. And Wardha is the next adjoining district. I have had a little background in Wardha. Decades ago, I used to work in Wardha, so I have a little close affiliation with that district. And so I work in these 2 districts. Me and my daughter, Soumya, who's here, we both run this foundation together. We work to support the widows of these 2 districts, where we support them to set up some kind of a micro-enterprise activity to become financially self-sustaining. Very serious challenges we encountered when we went there in the beginning. They were so distraught, literally not having basic food security. When I was visiting these villages and meeting these women, they didn't know what they would cook in the evening, how they will feed the child. So we did survey through volunteers and identify the most vulnerable among those, and about 200 odd women, we started by giving a monthly stipend just to take care of their food security. But the challenge was that within 12 months, we must stop the stipends and we must set them up into some kind of a viable financial activity to which they can sustain themselves. It has been a difficult journey. In about 2 years that we have been working, we have been able to set up substantial, a small number, but substantial, we'll call it now, that they have set them up, we have set them up into small businesses, running small shops in the village, running someone runs a bangle shop, a kirana shop, a stationery shop, or whatever. Some of them do stitching. We get them learn stitching, and then we give them sewing machines. Some of them we are promoting a major scheme in khadi, spinning, charkha. We are one by dairy units, poultry units, whatever little businesses they can set up, and starting with a very small capital that we give them initially as grant, but we will now slowly move on from grants to loans. But in order that this woman is able to sustain herself and her family based on this, because agriculture alone, most of them don't even own much of agriculture, namesake, but the agriculture alone is not a viable proposition for them, because the husband could not survive on that. He committed suicide, left his loans on her head, and she has to sustain. So we are creating these parallel income generation streams for them. Very satisfying to see that those who have ventured into this have been extremely successful, are doing well. They are able to take care of themselves and their families. We have called 2 of these representative women from Vidarbha, one from Yavatmal district and one from Wardha district, who were so completely distraught when we met them 2 years ago. And today they run small businesses of their own. By the small capital we gave them as grants, starting somewhere varying from 5,000 to 15,000 rupees. From that, both these women today are running. One of them still puts a thumb impression for a signature. She can't read and write. She can't even keep accounts. But she runs her business so well. She talks very confidently. She is able to run and survive. I remember the day when we have a couple of full-time employees there based in Wardha. One of them, the woman, she's a MSW, social work kind of. She is very engrossed, very involved with them. She called me up frantically and said that, sir, this woman sitting here, Vandana Jyotsana Vandile, she was very excited that from her earnings of her little shop, she was going that day to get her ornaments which she had pawned with a mortgage with a money lender in the village. She was going to get it released out of her own little earning. I don't know how much was that money, how much was that ornament. It must be a very small money, small amount, and a small ornament. What would this poor woman have? But for her to have this satisfaction that out of my own earnings, I have earned and I'm getting my ornament released. Such a fantastic thing. This other woman sitting here, Premila Balbudde, she is currently in Yavatmal district. She runs the bangle shop. She has sickle cell anemia in her legs, so she is ideally not supposed to walk much and not do, but she was so enterprising. She does many things, and she first hesitatingly says, sir, I don't know anything, so what can I do? After a careful lot of thinking, she said that, all right, sir, I can run a bangle shop. I don't know really this business, but and we gave her some money. And she started, I will request her to in fact narrate in 1 minute how she started, what difficulties they encounter in their kind of environment. First day she said, when I went out to shout, you need to shout when you go to sell bangles on your head load, you need to call out bangle chudi wali or whatever. She said it was such a shaming experience for me. But then I decided that after all, I am not taking anybody else's money and I am going to do it myself. And starting from that day, today she earns a good 6,000-7,000 rupees, she claims. They are so comfortable. So this micro enterprise to me is the means for these kind of people. They are not educated. There are hardly any job opportunities in that area, particularly in Vidarbha. There aren't so many jobs available for people anyway. So to me, this micro enterprise is the means. We, in Vidarbha, right now at least we work only through grants. But in Mumbai, our other part of our work is in Mumbai, where we work in the slums to support these small poor slum dwellers. Many of them who are already engaged in some or the other micro enterprise, we fund them through low interest microfinance, and starting with a small of 5,000 we grow to 10,000, 15,000. We have supported about 2,200 families by now in the last 2 years. very satisfying and encouraging result that many of them have increased their income levels by many-fold. And many of them are in their fourth loan cycles with us. They repay the loans. There may be some very small, negligible defaults, but we don't care. We, in fact, don't do recovery. We have created a system of repayment. They themselves in a group collect their money, repay to one of the group leaders, and our man only goes and collects it from them. So default is not the issue. We are not looking at that at all. Actually, the default lie in the corporate sector and not in the microfinance, not among the poor. So we don't look at that aspect at all. But very satisfying results in this micro-enterprise funding kind of activity in the slum, in the urban poor. Along with this, we do a few other activities. We want to encourage education for our children of the poor, because education becomes the first casualty. The moment the woman finds herself in financial hardship, make the child sit at home. We can't bear the expenses of education. So we support them for education. Nearly roughly 400 children between Vidarbha and Mumbai, we support financially for education, starting from very small nursery classes to higher education, medical engineering, MBAs, etc. But small amount of funds, whatever we can afford. We are now in Mumbai. We are running on an experimental basis, first of our proposed many after schools in their slum, where we are trying to bring up these children so that they can compare themselves equally, they can equate themselves along with other children of society, of upper strata of society coming from better schools. These are all slum children. They all go to vernacular schools. They always feel that they are not like others. They are not equal to the other children. They find themselves inadequate, always lacking in confidence. So we are running a school across classes from 6th standard to 9th standard, all of them put together, and giving them these all additional inputs so that we want to see, our dream is that in a few months' time, we should be able to see that these children develop confidence, they can speak English, they can talk about issues, they can mix with people in general, and feel that, yes, we are also like them, we are also like others. This will, of course, move on to other next few steps as well. But if this experiment succeeds in a few months' time, we have a lot of support coming from various people. Fellows of Teach for India, teachers are coming and helping us in running the school. There are people who are helping us preparing the curriculum, content, people giving us all kinds of support. If this works, we want to replicate this into many slums of Mumbai and into many schools. One other future project that we have in mind, and I am very passionate about it, if this works, to start a primary healthcare centers in the slums with just some very basic facilities of having. You'll be surprised, nearly 8 million people who live in the slums of Mumbai. 60% of them may not have access to a simple MBBS doctor for consultation. They are at the mercy of quacks who run ramak in these slums. We want to set up a simple, basic primary health care facility where a simple MBBS doctor will be available for consultation. Pharmacy can be dispensed, drugs can be dispensed right there. Some very basic preliminary tests can be conducted there. A small daycare facility available. Consultation of specialists being made available periodically. A very basic, low cost but quality health care. We have a project on this. If we get some support and we get our act together, we want to start this. It has been a very short but satisfying journey, long way to go. We started this foundation with a little bit of my own superannuation savings. We have not done any fundraising. We are not really looking at a substantial fundraising or anything. We are happy the way we are. I don't know, I am not sure whether we really want to scale up our operations and then look for other avenues. But it has been a very satisfying journey. I don't know whether this is entrepreneurial or not, but it has been a very satisfying journey to me. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Mr. Roy, anytime. Sorry, you were saying.
If you just give me 1 minute, I would want to call this one woman on this.
I want to actually do that. I want to, at the end, kind of call them and maybe have them say, definitely. No, I was just saying, Mr. Roy, that, it's any initiative which requires to go against tide and do things where others have not done and make you find a way around it. In my mind, it's entrepreneurial, because you always find the beaten path many people have done, that's more like employment, etc. People do. So I think what you're doing, whether there's a commercial purpose or not, in my view, it is definitely entrepreneurial. What Rupa is doing, in fact, I work closely with her, and I know how on a daily basis there are different challenges that that we have to face, which requires a lot of out-of-box thinking, a lot of patience. So again, I would like some question and answers from our audience, and then as you wanted, in fact, I was thinking about calling them on the stage and have them say something. So can we have any questions for Avasara and Vandana Foundation? Yeah.
I'm interested to hear from Rupa, who started...
Can you speak up, please?
This is a question for Rupa, who is an economist and worked at Goldman Sachs, and you're very involved in the data and the trends. And so how did you make the switch from a very research-oriented position and using all of those macro-level facts that you were seeing to actually put something into execution and go to the ground level and make it happen? What were your major obstacles, and in your personality, and how did you make that transition?
I would say, I kept saying throughout the talk in the beginning that this is my entrepreneurial venture. I have to say that I feel like nothing prepares me more to talk to people about the real state of getting things done in India and execution than Avasara. So I can sit and talk about, I think GDP is going to be this, we're going to grow, incomes are going to grow, and when people come and say, well, have you actually really tried to do anything? My reference point is always saying, I know how the permission process has evolved in Maharashtra over the last 4 years. I've seen it firsthand, and I think there's been nothing, sitting in a private equity fund and seeing what it takes to get businesses to grow. Nothing compares to the levels of bureaucracy, difficulty, and the amount of work that you have to do to get something like this off the ground. So I would say, none of us are put into a box, and I think living in India, you can't help but to feel like there's such opportunity and there's so much capacity to be able to do something. The problem is that it takes 10 years and like 5 times the resources that you anticipate it would to see it through. So for me, this is like my ultimate, it's a battle of wills. It's will to get it done. And I'm determined that this is life, this is my life's work. And one is intellectual, one is academic, and one is really, this is the path that you're set on, and you have to see it through one way or the other. It may not look like what you thought it was going to look like in the beginning, but it needs to be pursued.
Thank you. Any other question? Yeah.
This question is for Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy, your journey for the last 2 years has been quite enriching. You're happy with the way things are happening. But you are in a dilemma whether you want to scale it up or raise the fund. Why it is like so?
Well, I have no answer for this. One part of the work is that we want to really soil our hands, get engaged, deal directly with the problem, deal with the people. Scaling up will definitely need additional funds, some kind of fundraising. I am not sure whether we have reached that stage, but yes, now to scale up operation, we will have to get involved. I have no financial background. I really don't know how to raise funds. I don't know how to deal with funds. These are questions, but more than this, I want to say a little bit about the challenges that I face, not having any background of any entrepreneurship. The challenges that I face, as Rupa was mentioning, how it takes time doing things. In Vidarbha, we are trying to promote one stream is of khadi spinning, charkha. So we trained these women, we gave them charkhas, they are very happy spinning. We tied up with an entity that we will supply the cotton, they will buy the yarn and give the money immediately. And that worked very well, it looked very sort of remunerative for the women. It was such that if she works 4 or 5 hours in a day, at any time of her convenience, she can earn about 2,500 rupees a month, in addition to whatever else she was doing, which is a good income for them. But then you find that one cycle of supply of cotton, next time you go, they say, right now cotton not available, this not there, that not there. We went to another entity, And then you find that the 25 of these women who are spinning, they can't find the cotton to spin. Now then we have to look at buy cotton somewhere, go somewhere else for the ginning, go somewhere else for this thing. So these are the entrepreneurship challenges that we are now first time realizing in life, and we are at a threshold that we need to make our own investment to set up this entire unit so that we can take the raw cotton, give it to in a spinnable form of cotton, buy the yarn from them and be able to create value for them. So we are now looking at creating a whole value chain based on cotton in this. These are the little challenges. At each level you need to have some funds, you need to have this entrepreneurship organization, you need some permissions, etc. So that's the stage where we are struggling at the moment.
Such a learning. It's a whole learning process. I would be kind of short of time. I would request Soumya, daughter of Mr. Roy, who's helping him in this, and both the ladies who are actually become the entrepreneurs because of the foundation, to come on stage. Give them a big round of applause, please. You want to ask her to say?
सर्व प्रमुख पाहुण्याला माझे नमस्कार. सभी मेहमान लोग हैं हाजिर, उसको मेरा सादर प्रणाम है. मैं यवतमाल से आई हूँ. मेरा चूड़े का दुकान है. जब हमको गरीब परिस्थिति थी हमारी, तब आर्या सर ने हमको मदद दी है 12-13 हज़ार रुपये की. कुछ पैसे के हमने चूड़िया खरीद ली. कुछ पैसे जो लड़के मेरी पढ़ने वाली डेट कर रही वो उसको लगाए. मेरा अभी बड़ा चूड़े का धंधा हो गया. मैं शादी के बाद लेते हैं. जब मैं पहले दिन चूड़े बेचने गई थी, कोई लोग बोलता है मैं ओबीसी के आती है और चूड़े का धंधा मुसलमान लोग करते हैं. कोई बोलते हो सिपर बोलते ना, सिपर का धंधा है, ऐसे बोलते थे. बहुत मेरे को सभी अड़चन आ गई उसकी. अब जब चूड़िया ऊपर लेके कटोरी में जाती थी मैं, तो लोग को बोलते हैं, मैंने इतने उसको बोला मैं कुछ गलत काम नहीं कर रही, मैं चूड़िया बेचती है. कुत्ता हाथी चलते है तोल से कुत्ता भुगता है गली से, ऐसे करके मैंने मेरा धंधा शुरू कर दिया और अभी अच्छे तरह से मेरा धंधा चालू हो गया.
She has just had a throat operation. In fact, at one time it was suspected to be malignant, but fortunately it's not malignant. She just undergone a major throat surgery, so she has a little difficulty in speaking also. And they are very challenged regarding the language. They were very apprehensive of coming on stage and speaking. They speak only Marathi, but she has dared to explain her little story in Hindi. So thank you. Congratulations to these women who are really becoming, few of them are becoming role models for the other women in Vidarbha.
हाँ, थैंक यू, धन्यवाद.
नमस्कार सर्वांना. मी वर्धेवरून आलेली आहे. माझं नाव ज्योत्स्ना शामराव वांदिले आहे आणि माझ्या घरी स्टेशनरी दुकान लावलं आहे आणि वंदना फाउंडेशन कडून मला मदत मिळाली आहे. मी शिकलेली काहीच नाही आहे, मला काही बोलता येत नाही.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Thank you, Rupa. It's been really enriching. You know, we talk about entrepreneurs and making money, etc. But you know, the one can be entrepreneurs for a cause, and we please, all of you, please, a big round of applause for both of them. Thank you. Thank you.